In today's episode, we are going to explore the art of leadership when you're leading complex organizations and complex people that requires the height of your leadership ability. We're going to talk about those defining characteristics that set elite leaders apart from everyone else.
At Initiative One, we're igniting a leadership revolution by helping organizations eliminate the drama, improve decision-making, and win as a team. Join Dr. Fred Johnson on the Leadership Initiative podcast as we uncover insights to maximize your impact and transform your life.
Welcome back to the Leadership Initiative. I'm Dr. Fred Johnson, founder of Initiative One. And today, I get to welcome one of my long-term friends. In fact, Tehassi Hill may be one of the first people that I met when I moved here from Scottsdale, Arizona in 2005. I met Tehassi. He was introduced to me by the former chairman of the Oneida tribe here in Green Bay, Rick Hill. And I remember you were in his office, and he invited me in, and he said, I want you to meet one of the up-and-coming leaders of this tribe that's going to be around a long time. And I'll never forget meeting you for the first time. And we connected immediately. Tehassi Hill is the current chairperson of the Oneida tribe here in Green Bay, Wisconsin. I have known him well. I have watched him lead. He's been through our leadership transformation process at least twice. We have the privilege of having the Oneida tribe as one of our longest serving partnerships. In fact, I was telling Tony, the producer of this show, that of over 600 partners that we have made since in 25 years, Oneida is one of the two largest and longest. We have a relationship with a healthcare company organization in Arizona that is going on for over 20 years. And we started working continuously with the Oneida tribe starting in 2009. And we have been so honored, Tehassi, to have the relationship with the tribe. We've been given the honor of working in just about every facet of the tribe's work. And so you and I have gotten to know each other well during that period. We've had a lot of candid conversations. And I want to welcome you, and I want our leaders to know and to learn what a seasoned leader looks like, how they behave, how they think, how they make decisions. And it's a real joy to have you on our show today.
Well, thanks for that very nice introduction.
Well, it's the one that you gave me, right? No, actually, it is not. That was sincere, and it's coming completely from the heart. So we've talked about some things that I wanted to ask you. And I have I've worked with a lot of organizations. And because of generational trauma that has been visited upon not only the Oneida tribe, but every native tribe, there are added challenges to leading a complex organization such as a Native American tribe. And I have watched you with admiration for years. That one of the things that I would say is you have this gift of rising above the noise. And I have seen where there is chaos in the room. I have seen that no matter what, whatever was said, there was going to get a strong reaction from one or two or five or 10 different sides. And I have watched you be calm, be even, and be steady, and set the tone for the room. It's one of your greatest leadership gifts. What does it feel like as a leader when you're in the middle of an environment like that, and that no matter what you do, there's going to be tension in the room, there's going to be anger in the room, there's going to be all kinds of emotion. What has been part of your secret sauce for maintaining that evenness that sets the positive tone for a room?
Well, I think for me, just starting off, personally, a lot of it is my willingness to learn. And so a part of that learning is, using your ears and listening to what people have to say and be able to understand where they're coming from, no matter what the decision might go against what they perceive to be a better idea. Is really, for me, it's that long-term thinking of trying to get to a place wherever that decision might lead us, and hopefully that's a better place. And then so really just trying to rely on that listening skills to be able to take all that information in, and then being able to hopefully relay that back into the situation, into determining, okay, we made this determination and this is why, explaining why we made this decision, I think is important, as being able to rise above the noise, making sure that you have that basic knowledge of whatever that decision is going forward, and hopefully being able to explain why you made the decision the way you did.
So I have seen a lot of leaders go into complex situations like that, and I see them trying to persuade the room or somehow use their verbal skills to steer the direction. I've never seen you do that. You talk about deep listening. I think it's one of the most valuable traits of effective leaders. So could you talk a little bit about what's going on in your head? What is the narrative in your head as all of this dialogue is coming at you, and sometimes it's not dialogue? What are you telling yourself that allows you to listen so deeply, and what have you found is the impact upon a person or a group of people when you're able to listen deeply to what's going on? Walk us through that.
Yeah, I really think that active listening really kind of helps to diffuse situations. A lot of times when people are upset, maybe they haven't been listened to or heard, and so really just taking that extra step to make sure they're listened to and that they're heard for whatever aspect they're coming from, I think helps diffuse many of those situations. And again, just not trying to overreact and talk over people, I think is important for me. I guess how I deal with those types of situations is really just trying to make sure that they have their time to talk and express their feelings or their thoughts on whatever the situation is, and really take that in and trying to internalize, okay, this is where they're coming from. How can we get to something that resembles a win for them in some sort of way, but still get us to the place where we need to be in the long run?
Wow. What you've just described, Tehassi, is what we call emotional intelligence. I've felt for many years that you're one of the most emotional, intelligent leaders that I know. And the characteristics of emotional intelligence is the ability to listen deeply, to close your mouth and open your ears. It is the ability to put yourself in the other person's perspective and to see the situation from their point of view in a genuine fashion. It's also about the ability to imbue appreciation, gratitude, and valuing the other individual. We know in today's world that when people feel that they're not heard or not appreciated or not included, they feel disrespected. And when a person feels disrespected, they shut down or they go on the offensive. I think that one of your gifts is that you have the ability to show people respect. Are these just nice words that I'm talking about, or have you found them to be absolutely pivotal in leading an entire, how many thousand people now are within the Oneida reservation? Certainly, and there's a whole group up in New York as well. What is the total size of the tribe at this point?
So we have a little over 17,000 tribal members enrolled. That's worldwide. About 7,500 or so live within this 2-county area, Brown and Outagamie County, and about 4,000 or 5,000 live on the reservation.
Okay. So with your vast experience, I mean, walk us through what we're talking about, valuing people, including them. Why have you seen that is so critical when you're leading any organization?
Yeah, I really think that's very important aspect of leadership is being able to listen and being open to learning. Lifelong student, I love to learn. That's one of my driving forces is being able to attain education through whatever is going on. Because I really like to seek that knowledge and to be able to internalize that as well and make use of it. And so any opportunity I can to take to learn something, whether that's a better fishing technique or a better hunting technique, or in my current role as chairman of the Oneida Nation, techniques how to work through situations, identify people's traits, how they like to be talked to or not talked to, whether they prefer the voice or a written communication, I think is really important to be that flexible as well, to be able to communicate on that level that they're able to digest that and receive that information.
So it's really, you study people. I mean, the fact that you can identify this person prefers to receive this form of communication. This person is more comfortable if you talk to him or her in this fashion. These are trigger points that you need to know. I mean, that is studying the art of understanding what triggers a person and what kind of information a person is most readily able to receive and process. That's an art, and I've seen you do that. I think there's a couple of other things that I would say. You are one of the most well-rounded people. And what I often see with leaders who have highly stressful responsibilities is they can become so absorbed in it that they can become one-dimensional people. And yet we know that life balance is critical if you're going to be able to stay on your game for the long term. I mean, I've seen you. Number one, you're a great cook. Nobody makes lake fish, fries bluegill or crappie any better than you do. I've seen you. You're an avid hunter. You love the environment. You love nature. You have so many different interests. How has that served you to being able to avoid burnout or maybe come out of burnout? How you've been doing this since 2008 in one form or another. That is 16 years. Why is that so important as a part of leadership?
Yeah, I think really that work, the work life and trying to find that balance with, your personal life, I think is very important, just to stave off that burnout aspect. I know obviously being very dedicated to your job and to leadership is very important, but it also, that's also draining. So you have to find avenues to, fill that cup back up as well. If I get down to half a cup of wellness, I'm in pretty rough shape, and my wife will tell you I'm not a very nice person when I'm only half full. So I do make sure that I take as much time as I need to make sure I'm getting out into the environment, whether that's hunting or fishing or just playing volleyball or golf. I do all kinds of things that helps to replenish my cup of water so that, I'm ready come Monday or Tuesday or whatever the next challenge is up, that I'm mentally there to be able to do that.
So my wife knows when I need a vacation, and your wife knows when you need a vacation. That's when we're at the edge and it's time to fill the well. What do you look like when I get to that place? I become short with people. I begin to be very controlling. My listening skills go down in a nanosecond. and my ability to tolerate surprises and conflict becomes challenging. You know yourself well. What do you look like when you know time out, it's time to fill the well?
Probably very similar to the traits you just mentioned as well. I'll become short, and also very shut down, I guess. So not very interested in having a long conversation about anything. Just
So very
keep it
impatient.
short and
Yeah.
becoming impatient. Yeah. So for me, it's really probably the impatient part of it, as well, like was currently being known to be a very patient person. Those who are close to me know when I'm become impatient and short and easily, off kilter.
Have you given them permission when you get to that place? Because sometimes we're so close to ourselves, we can't see ourselves. Have you given them permission when you're there to say, Tehassi, time out, buddy. What's going on?
I wouldn't say I've given them permission, but my wife Michelle doesn't need permission.
Got it.
She's gonna let me know
Yeah.
when I'm off kilter and something is amiss, even before I perceive it myself. She'll be, hey, what's going on? Why you acting this way? I was like, I'm not acting any kind of way, but she definitely perceives that before I do.
There's something else that in our relationship that I admire about you, and that is the ability to practice forgiveness. People think that's a spiritual term that is confined to houses of worship. Actually, that is a timeless concept that applies to all areas of life. I remember about 10 years ago, you and I had an unintended misunderstanding, and we were close, and there was distance between us, and yet I remember us sitting down, and I saw you extend forgiveness to me. That's one of the things that I knew how deep you are. I mean, you can't extend forgiveness to people unless you are very deep as a person. What would you say to people listening that when you're as a leader that you've been hurt? Because if you're a leader, you're going to be hurt. When you're a leader, people are going to take advantage of you. And yet, if you hold back a grudge to everyone that starts to hurt you, man, we become ineffective very quickly. What would you say along the line of leadership and forgiveness and being able to make amends and move forward after there has been a hurt or some kind of disservice?
Yeah, I think for me, that was really kind of a lot with my traditional teachings, being raised in our Oneida Longhouse and learning a lot of the stories that go along with that, and how the Confederacy came about from warring nations to being put together as the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, the 5 nations and eventually the 6 nations coming together to support one another, and that peace, power, and righteousness aspects of that, of being able to do that forgiveness and move on, because there's much more strength in unity than alone. And so really taking those aspects into that consideration. And really, I think just really the forgiveness part of that is really, I don't need to carry any extra baggage with this title that I have than I already do. So,
Yes.
There's plenty other stuff to worry about. And so if someone, got crosswise with me and take the time, sit down and express my feelings about it and move on from there. So that's really, what it is for me, is just, taking that time, have a conversation and move on from there. And it's forgiven, it's forgotten about, not necessarily forgotten about, but it's there, but it's moving forward.
You don't hold on and let it have a hold on you.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
There's so much negativity in the world already. It's not worth carrying around extra negativity.
Yeah. You and I so far have really been talking about the art of leadership, which is understanding ourselves, understanding human beings, and being able to adapt in order to have the greatest connection and the ability to move people. One last question. if you're going to be an effective leader, you have to master the art of leading change. And we know that certainly within your tenure, there has been massive positive and productive change within the Oneida people. On some of those changes, when you're leading deep change, what would you say to those listeners and viewers? What would you say when change is coming? This is what you need to be prepared for. And you know a lot about that subject.
Yeah. I think, when change is coming forward, I think it's really, for me, I really just think of it as, a big ship on the open ocean and the storm is coming. So do you turn tail and try to outrun it, try to get around it, or just kind of stick to it and head straight through it? So I'm really more on the plane of sticking on straight through it.
Go through it.
Yeah, just go straight through it. And obviously there's a lot of bumps and there's a lot of waves, there's thunder and there's lightning, all these distractions per se that are along the way, and just being able to, again, know what that destination is, and the shortest way to get there is straight to it, and realizing that storm of people, naysayers and whatnot, trying to distract and go above and beyond to change that route is really, that aspect of just staying the course and to get to that destination. When you get to that destination, maybe that's not what you had planned. You get there and you evaluate it. Okay, maybe you should have took a left turn back there to this other destination. But that's just part of that continuous growth, improvement is, that assessment as well as being able, you got to that destination. Was it 100% right? Maybe not. So we can, right the ship a little bit and continue on to the next destination.
So let's say you made a decision and it turned out to not be the appropriate decision. I hear you say you don't beat yourself up. You evaluate it, you course correct, and then you move on. That's right. So you have given us a treatise in leadership in so many ways. You've talked about the ability to take a mistake and not use it to beat yourself up, but to evaluate and to get better. You've talked about the ability to lean into conflict that comes with change. Don't run from it. Lean into it to get through it. You've talked about the aspect of in relationships when you're hurt, to practice active forgiveness, to let go of some of that bitterness that can weigh us down as leaders. You've talked about emotional intelligence, the ability to put yourself in the other person's shoes. And you've also talked about the power of listening as a way of conveying to the other person that you matter. I mean, the 5 or 6 key points that you've been able to convey to us in 20 to 25 minutes, we could write an entire book on. And it's why you're effective. And I was so honored that you were going to join us, because we really have exceptional leaders on this, and you certainly belong at the top. One last question. What has the place of Initiative One, if there's 1 or 2 things that was part of your journey as a leader that put you in a different place, what would you say that you carry away from that all these years later?
I really think it was really just I don't remember if it was an analogy or what it was, but, climbing the ladder, and then, you get to that rung and you kind of sit there, and the pain of staying the same or growing, that difference. Okay, you can stay on this rung forever if you want, and then you have to live with yourself at that level. But if you strive to that next level, then there's pain with that as well, but you're continuing to move up that ladder. And so really just that analogy, I think, has always stuck with me for all these years.
Well, and I've seen it live out in you and how you lead and how you live. And it's a real pleasure to have you. this is why Tehassi is one of my most treasured friends. We don't see each other a lot these days because you're going in your direction and I'm going in mine. But it seems like whenever we're in the same room, we can always start where we left off. It's really great to have you, buddy.
All right. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
There's a lot to learn from this. You need to watch this podcast or listen or watch slowly and carefully because there are a lot of nuggets in this podcast. It's great to see you. We hope that you'll continue to check in if you haven't checked out our think tank yet. Our next one is we're expecting a large audience nationwide. We'd love to have you join us. If you've interested more in the transformational work of Initiative One, go to our website. Check us out at initiative1.com. Again, you are watching the Leadership Initiative. Take care and have a great week.